Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jan Szrewiński. Russia has announced the closure of Poland's consulate in the Siberian city of Irkutsk, calling it retaliation for Warsaw's earlier decision to shut down Russia's diplomatic mission in Gdańsk. Now, Poland chose to close Moscow's consulate earlier this month, citing suspected Russian intelligence involvement in acts of railway sabotage on Polish soil. Polish Ambassador Krzysztof Krajewski was summoned by the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs on Thursday. The diplomat was informed that the Russian government is revoking permission for the last remaining Polish Consulate General to operate in Irkutsk, effective on the 30th of December. These tit-for-tat politics have been going on for a while and intensified in the wake of sabotage efforts on a Polish railway line, which Russian intelligence had been reportedly involved in. Warsaw had previously closed Russian consulates in Poznań in October 2024 and in Kraków in May 2025. And Russia responded by shutting down Polish consulates in St. Petersburg and Kaliningrad. Poland's remaining diplomatic presence in Russia now consists only of its embassy in Moscow. Poland's law enforcement officers have apprehended a suspected Russian hacker accused of conducting cyberattacks against Polish businesses. Following the arrest, Poland's interior minister said the suspect is believed to have compromised security systems of a number of companies in order to obtain confidential data.
Officers from Poland's Central Bureau for Cybercrime in Kraków have arrested a Russian national suspected of serious crimes involving the unauthorized intrusion into the IT systems of Polish companies. Investigators say he breached security measures to gain access to corporate databases. A court has ordered him to be held in pre-trial detention.
The European Parliament has become the venue for an intense debate on Russia's hybrid warfare, with the recent railway sabotage operation in Poland at the top of the agenda. According to Polish officials, the attempted derailment of a passenger train was an act of unprecedented escalation, and the European Union cannot remain silent.
In recent weeks, the airspace has been violated over Belgium, over the Netherlands, Poland, Romania, Denmark, Estonia, Germany, Lithuania, Latvia, and again Romania yesterday. These incidents are a pattern, not an accident. These incidents are elements of a hybrid warfare, a deliberate grey zone campaign targeting Europe.
We need specific tools to detect and eliminate pro-Russian propaganda, including digital platforms. We need even more European police cooperation.
Poland, as well as other countries, has the right and obligation to protect its borders and its infrastructure. We expect real, investigative and coordinated cooperation in the field of response to hybrid threats.
We have to admit that we live in a time when the gap between the law and war is narrowing. We can call it a hybrid war, a provocation, but it has been going on for a few years. Belgium is only starting to think what to do with the Russian reserves, and the drones are flying over Brussels.
Another country on NATO's eastern flank is investing heavily in its military due to lingering threats from Moscow. Romania has just announced a major deal with French Mistral air defense systems to be purchased for a total of €626 million as part of a major European joint procurement contract. Romania's defense ministry confirmed the agreement with France on Tuesday, covering 231 Mistral portable air defense systems and more than 900 missiles from producer MBDA. The package includes training, simulators and logistics support, though officials did not specify delivery dates. Romania also plans to partner with Ukraine on drone production under an EU-backed defense program. Lawmakers first approved the plan in 2022, but the war next door has added urgency as Romanian radars have repeatedly detected drones and debris crossing the Danube River. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha shared plans for President Zelensky and Trump to meet face-to-face, emphasizing that, and I quote, "there are very sensitive questions in play, and they can only be discussed at the highest level."
In the nearest future, it should be expected that the negotiation teams will meet. What are we expecting? Our expectations are concrete results so that progress can be made. It is extremely important for us, and Ukraine has demonstrated this repeatedly, the willingness to achieve a truce. Yes, the Ukrainian side is interested in contact at the highest levels, in a meeting between President Zelensky and President Trump, because there are very sensitive questions in play, and they can only be discussed at the highest level. It is important for us to receive a positive result regarding the reparation loan. So is the actual usage of frozen Russian assets.
Pope Leo is set to make his international debut on a 6-day trip to Turkey and Lebanon. The mission carries a theme of peace and unity. The Vatican expects the trip to be demanding, as it will be packed with meetings with religious and political leaders. Turkey, home to some 36,000 Christians, will be Leo's first stop, where he will meet with the country's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The Pope's arrival in Lebanon is also highly anticipated, as tensions in the region remain high, especially between Israel and Hezbollah. With the first international trip, destinations are strategic for the head of the Catholic Church to spread his message, calling for peace in the Middle East and in Ukraine. France's highest court has upheld former President Nicolas Sarkozy's conviction for illegal campaign financing. This comes after the politician spent less than a month in a French jail in connection with another case. The upheld sentence is connected to Sarkozy's 2012 re-election campaign. In 2024, he was handed a one-year sentence for overspending during the campaign, which he then proceeded to try and cover up. Prosecutors in the case say the money was used to finance lavish campaign rallies and events. To hide these costs, Sarkozy's political party then asked for invoices to be sent to the party rather than to the campaign. This marks the second definitive conviction for the former French president. This September, he was sentenced to 5 years in jail after being found guilty of criminal conspiracy. He was released early after spending 20 days in the facility. An appeal trial will be held in 2026. Sarkozy's team announced the former president is writing a book about his time in jail titled A Prisoner's Diary. Donald Trump says the US should screen immigrants from Afghanistan to check whether they are not a threat to national security. He made the comment after the suspect in the Wednesday shooting in Washington, D.C. was identified as a foreigner who entered the United States from Afghanistan.
I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
At least 55 people are dead and more others critically injured after a massive fire engulfed several high-rise towers in a Hong Kong residential complex. Bamboo scaffolding used in the renovation of the buildings may have been the cause of the fire.
This is the aftermath of a devastating fire in Hong Kong's Wang Fuk high-rise residential complex. By Thursday morning, much of the blaze was under control.
Of the 8 buildings of Wang Fuk Court, only one hasn't been affected by the fire. Blazes in 4 of the buildings have been extinguished, and those in the other 3 are effectively under control.
Local residents recall the moment that panic struck once the fire was noticed.
Ringing doorbells, knocking on doors, alerting the neighbors, telling them to leave. That's what the situation was like.
But the fire spread rapidly.
The fire spread so quickly. I saw one hose trying to save several buildings, and I felt it was far too slow. Watching them burn, they burned for hours. Why didn't the fire department handle this sudden situation properly? It's very sad.
3 people have already been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter. They're employees of a company responsible for the building's renovations. Some of the wall materials used at the complex are suspected of failing to meet fire safety standards. Hundreds of residents are still unaccounted for, and the possibility of the burned buildings collapsing now poses a new real threat.
And that's all for now. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.